How do you even make money as a snowboarder?
That was a big question when I was a kid.
Welcome to another episode of Richer Lives by SoFi. I'm Vivian Tu, aka your Rich BFF, and we're here today with three-time Olympic gold medalist in snowboarding, Shaun White. Welcome, Shaun.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here. We're going to have such a great conversation. But before we dive in, you have $1 million. You can either purchase a ticket to go to space, or you can go back in time.
I would go back in time.
Can we know what time point?
Maybe my final Olympic run. I was in China competing. And I just, I took off wrong on the wall and it was my farewell run. And I was like, I had so much more planned. I would probably go back and redo that. But there's so many shoulda, coulda, would-haves in life. But I feel like they all lead you to this moment now. So I don't know. Yeah, go back in time.
Yeah. All right, we got to bring it back down to little Shaun. Your family came from more modest means than many of the other families on the mountain.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that wealth disparity?
There was a big kind of wealth difference. And then there was just we lived down by the beach in San Diego. And so we always felt like the visitors. Yeah, it was tough. I remember, we'd be sleeping in the van and making ends meet because it's expensive. You got a family of 5.
Yep.
You got, gear for everybody, lift tickets for everybody, food, lodging, all those things. So we realized it was a lot easier to just stay in a van that we had purchased. It just got a little awkward at some points because I remember showing up and everybody's there to practice or compete or whatever, and I'm brushing my teeth in the lodge when everybody's putting their sunscreen on, looking over, and I'm in my robe brushing my teeth. But no, I don't know. I look back and those were the most exciting times. You kind of appreciate where you're at now because you had those times. I think if I would have just had the best gear and all this stuff out the gate, I don't think it would have meant as much to me. But yeah, for sure felt the difference.
It sounds like your parents made a lot of sacrifices aside from just sleeping in the van. What are some other things that they had to do to make your future dreams come true?
I remember at one point my parents took a loan out on their house of about $50,000. And for a waitress and a city worker, that was a pretty big gamble on a sport that wasn't considered a sport at the time. They're like, we don't see snowboarding as a real thing. So it was a big risk at that time for them financially and on the sport itself. How
do you even make money as a snowboarder?
That was a big question when I was a kid, from my principals, from my friends, again, it wasn't really considered a real profession when I started, and X Games had just started. There was no Olympics. It was a much different event than it is today, but you can win competitions. So there's prize money there. And then you would basically do endorsement deals, and I quickly learned that I wouldn't really set myself up for the future by just winning competitions. You could do really well, and many were, but you needed to have sponsorships to pay the bills and to actually kind of set yourself up for the future. Unlike traditional sports where you make the money on the field of play. You know, so I play football and I'm signed to this team and that's my huge, deal for the year. And then all the things, shoes and drink and all this stuff kind of comes secondary, where for me, it was all secondary. I had to, kind of go out and do these other deals, but then still try to remain cool among my peers. You don't want to sell out or these things. And so it was a fine dance I was doing at the time. But in the early days, you'll laugh at this, photo incentive. Say I have 3 sponsors. Each one of those sponsors would have a certain rate for the photo incentive. So if I was pictured in a magazine, I just laugh because I remember doing this with my mom, but you would clip your photo out of that magazine and we would mail it in. If I had half a page in a magazine, that was worth $500. If I had a small mention, that was worth $100. If I was, a full cover was $1,000. So we're clipping these things like they're coupons and they stacking these things up and
get paid to scrapbook.
It wasn't much at the time, but for a family living in the van, that was huge.
And can I get just a laundry list of what are the costs? You got to get a board, but what else?
Yeah. It's travel, it's food, it's lodging. I didn't have a coach, but you kind of need someone there to help. There's somebody back there waxing the boards. Or there were training camps up in Oregon that we would go to. Those were pretty expensive. I was never a camper there officially. I was a day camper. So I'd use the facility and then I would sleep in the van with the family. And then my dad would, it's called dig the half pipe. He would go in and rake the snow
Yeah.
in between the day to have it reset so that I could ride or get a discounted rate to ride. So he would dig the half pipe for me. But yeah, there was a lot that went into it, especially in those younger years.
Yeah. Amateurs can't get paid, but how do you go from amateur to pro?
I'm pretty sure you just accept money.
Oh,
If you win a competition that's a pro-am or something like that and they pay you, you can accept the money. Before that, you would have to just say, no, defer it or something. I don't know.
no, I don't want the money.
But yeah, exactly. And you're like, ooh, no, I kind of want that. But no, you would just kind of decide at a certain point and go, okay, I'm going to start entering professional competition. You had to be a certain age. So you had to be like 13 at least. And then, you start entering pro competitions. And if you win, they would pay down to certain, places. So if I got 10th place, I would get some money. It wasn't like a huge check, but you would get some money. And once you start accepting that, then you're pro, I guess. There wasn't like an official thing. But I do remember, I was 13 and I entered my first pro competition and I got destroyed. I didn't do well at all.
Oh,
and there was an amateur event later that same kind of weekend. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't accept money and I didn't, just wanted to try my hand at it, see how I would do against the pros. And when I tried to go back, the parents were outraged. I think they finally got rid of me because I was winning a lot. They're like, whoo, okay, Timmy, it's your time now. And then I was like, oh, hey, I'm back. And they're like, So, it really put a fire under me though. It was like, well, what are we doing? It's a big choice at 13, but it's like, well, what are we doing? Like, we need to make a decision. And if it's pro, which we've done and tried it, why are we going back? Let's just push forward. So that was like a really intense, but like, exciting day for me.
Yeah. So you started your pro career at 13. Was there ever a moment where you felt like being that age was a real hindrance or maybe even a benefit?
I think the benefit would be is that I got the most attention because they're like, wow, this kid's doing these things that these adults are doing. But I felt like it was more of a hindrance because, I didn't fit in the clothing that the older riders were wearing, and the logo for the brand that made the kids' clothing was a bumblebee, and so no one would take me seriously. I was like, "Come on, respect me and my tricks," and they're like, "But Bumblebee. I'm covered in bumblebees." And these guys are in their mid to upper 20s and they're partying and having a great time. I'm trying to teach them about Pokemon. There's a big gap miss, but the one time I realized things were just, not gonna meet eye to eye. I was probably 15 years old. I was in Japan at this competition. I'd learned this new trick before the event, so I'm like poised to win. I'd been getting second place at every event before this. I was like, this is my chance to win. The athletes that showed up, they get per diem. So they get cash when they show up. I wasn't that level of invited rider, so I didn't get that. But they're out spending it on new cameras. The mini disc players had just come out. They're like, look at these, it's the future. Not so much anymore. No, but anyways, so, they're having a good time and, maybe some of them partied, had a good time in Tokyo. And then the next day they're like, oh, the jump's no good. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, the jump, we've all decided that the jump's terrible and we're going to just split the prize purse and do like a demonstration and split the prize money. So everybody cool with that? And I was like, no, it's the first time I kind of was like, no, I'm not cool with that, and going against the herd is tough, especially at that age. And so I kind of stuck to my guns and.
Wait, what happened?
Oh man, I got some heat. There's a little hazing, they were making fun of me and everyone would come take a run at me and say some things. And I just put my headphones in. I was like, okay, man, I did that trick I told you. I won. I got $50,000 in a car. So yeah, it was a bizarre thing to stand up to my peers in that way, or people that I really respected and wanted them to like me. But then again, here are the rewards of like standing my ground and believing in something and sticking to it. So it was an interesting turning point in my life.
And you're an athlete through and through. You are in fact also very good at skateboarding. But at what point did you decide, you know what? Snowboarding's it?
When I was, 7, I got my first sponsorship. So I'm now accumulating these sponsors, and these sponsors expect me to be a snowboarder year round. And there's snow somewhere. You go up to Mount Hood, there's glaciers in Europe, there's, South America, it's opposite seasons for us, New Zealand. Being a Southern California kid, I just missed home so much. And I loved skateboarding. It was my favorite thing to do other than snowboarding. And so I made this decision to go pro in the sport of skateboarding. And that decision was because the only way to tell these sponsors like, hey, I'm not going to go to this place or I'm not going to do this is not that I'm going to sit on the couch, but I'm going to be doing this. So I'll still be wearing your logo. I'll still be competing. I'm in the mix in the media, but I'll be skateboarding. And so, they were thrilled. I was thrilled because, skateboarding was just 20 minutes down the road. There was a ramp, or Tony Hawk actually had his own private warehouse with a ramp in it. And I go there every day. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like this great situation where now I can pursue skateboarding professionally and do, my time at home and not lose the love for either sport. I only decided to quit skateboarding after, every time I go to the Olympics for snowboarding, I stop skating the year before because of injury. And so there's like a 2-year gap where I'm not skateboarding. And then I have to like pick it up again and try to like relearn every trick that I had. Then on top of that, learn new tricks so that I can beat the skateboarders that have just been skating the entire time. And so it just became too much. I was just kind of like run ragged. And I realized I was like, I just need to kind of like take it easy and focus. And that's what I did.
Training that hard and working 24/7 is super draining. Did snowboarding, something we know you love, ever end up just feeling like work?
I can't say work. I mean, I wouldn't know what that is. I was very lucky at that age where my friends are like, what am I going to be? A doctor, an astronaut? And I'm like, dang, I already got this good thing going. I'm just going to stick with it. I don't know. There were times, if I had to pinpoint something, it would be that Sochi Olympics. I got to the Olympics. It was my 3rd Olympics, and I was the favorite to win. I had the tricks to win, and I just like couldn't do it. I don't know. I just lost that hunger to get the job done. I think I was actually ready to retire after that. If I would have won, I'm good. 3 gold, we're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I was kind of left with was like, all right, I'm running this marathon. I'm at the finish line, which is the Olympics. I crossed, but I realized I didn't medal. And do I want to end my career this way? But like, how do you remotivate after?
Out on a whimper or a bang.
Yeah, you cross the finish line just to see another marathon. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to? What do we do? And so one step at a time, I started to figure it out and kind of rebuild my strategy and then like find the love of the sport again. But in the end, I would say, there's way more that excites me about the sport than was ever like a drag or something like that, I don't feel like I was ever pushed into it. I really wanted it. Yeah.
Let's hit pause for a sec to learn another way SoFi helps their members get their money right. As some of you may know, I've been in my fashion girly era lately. And let me tell you, hunting down the perfect bag, weirdly similar to finding a loan as a small business owner. In both cases, finding exactly what you need can feel impossible. I'll go down a rabbit hole, open a million tabs, and suddenly I'm looking at a bunch of nearly identical bags, but one has a zipper, one has an extra strap, one has pockets, and soon enough, they all blur together, and I can't even find which one I liked the most. Where is it? Shopping for the right financing for your small business shouldn't feel like that. Enter SoFi's marketplace. Whether you need a loan for working capital or funds to upgrade your equipment, SoFi helps you shop and compare financing options without drowning in tabs. It's like a one-stop shop for finding financing that fits your business needs. Oh, and no need to stress. We'll help you track down what you're looking for. With loans funded for more than 1,000 small businesses, SoFi's marketplace is here to help you explore financing options. Get started at SoFi.com/SMB. You mentioned Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
He has actually been a guest here at Richer Lives.
Oh, nice.
I'm curious, what was the best piece of career advice he ever gave to you?
He gave me great advice along the way. Some probably I can't repeat. One thing that really sticks out to me would be an interview that we did. And the interviewer was like, so Tony, how do you feel about Shaun being the next Tony Hawk? And he was like, that sounds terrible. And I remember thinking the same. I was like, what? And I loved his answer because he's like, no, that puts a cap on it. He needs to be the next Shaun White. And it really kind of opened my eyes to, yes, Tony and his career and his life are a great sort of like thing to run toward and be inspired by, but I really need to find my own trajectory. I got to find my own path through all this. Whether he meant to or not, that wisdom in that day really affected me. So after that, I remember just thinking like, okay, well, what is my path? How would I approach this? And it really kind of, opened a lot of doors, I feel like.
Did you guys ever talk about money or pitfalls that he fell into that he wanted you to avoid?
Not as much. I think I remember him doing certain things. You know, I was just kind of around at the time. So I could see him doing his video game, making incredible money doing his game. I learned about royalties. I learned about, getting paid percentages of items that you create, things like that. And so I learned a lot just being around him. It's not like I was a child. He wouldn't come, like spill this on me, but I just happened to be in the room when he'd be talking to somebody or something. And so you just like pick up things along the way. So I was just like really inspired by him with that. And then I think the most incredible thing about him was that he's a family man. So from the very beginning, he had kids, his wife, and they'd all come to the park, and he really divided his time well between like personal life and his job. And so a lot of that's what I picked up from him along the way.
Yeah. Learning through osmosis.
Yeah, totally.
Ultimately, you have had such an incredible career, and you have made a lot of money through sponsorships. When that money first started coming in, did you turn to your parents? Were they able to help you? Like, how did you guys start to manage those funds coming in?
I mean, I was so baffled by it. I remember I was probably 14 and I don't know. Yeah, like I had signed my first,
the family.
Because it really was that unit for the longest time.
You were also 14.
Exactly. So we'd signed this deal that was, north of $1 million. And I was like, okay, so that's good. That's, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, I'd heard that number in kid movies,
right.
But I'd never really assumed it was something coming my way. I just remember it being kind of like not a big deal to me. I don't know why. I remember being like, oh, that's great. All right, so off to the skate park then?
Yeah.
I already kind of had the things that I wanted in life, but it got very complicated after that because now it's like you accumulate this wealth, but then what do you do with it? And so when you're a child, you can't really own anything. You have no write-offs. Everything is kind of set up for your parents to not take everything from you, which is very important. And I don't know why I'm laughing about it. It's just a visual. My parents are so sweet. They would never, but you know what I mean? Everything's set up to protect the child from the situation, but they don't have the benefits of being an adult and having write-offs and making investments and doing these things. So you're kind of just in limbo until you hit 18.
Is that when you started managing your own money, or you still needed a little bit more help then?
Gosh. I remember trying to take over my finances, and it just was like, I don't think I had the mental sort of, dedication to do it, to really stay on top of things. Because I was still pursuing my career. I'm still like trying to live
very busy
and enjoy my life as well. I'm like, gosh, I've earned this moment in the spotlight. Do I really want to like be meeting with
the accountant?
Yeah, the accountant. And where are we going to invest? And teach me this and teach me that. Hindsight, I wish I would have taken the time to really dive into it because it's not as complex as people make it out to be. They want you to feel overwhelmed and confused so that they can step in and do it for you. You pay them for it. So not to say I can handle it all myself, but I know a lot more now than I ever did before. I do give that advice to young up and coming athletes. I'm like, take the time to go take a course, take a class, just learn something, and educate yourself because it pays in the long run. But yeah, I remember that going very poorly at that age. I was buying Lamborghinis. I bought this new house. I had long hair. I was really feeling myself. I don't think it was until probably after my second Olympics, so 2010, that I really started to get a grasp of what was going on.
Time to lock in.
Yeah, I was like, okay, it's time to kind of figure it out.
What was the first purchase you made after that $1 million?
The first purchase that was of significance was a house. So we bought a house in Carlsbad, California at the beach. And it was a good time to buy real estate in California. And I remember talking to my parents, I was like, so wait, we bought the house like 6 months ago and it's already worth, almost double? Like, this is great. Why don't we do this all the time? They're like, well, it doesn't always work like this.
So easy.
Yeah, it's so easy. Why isn't everybody doing this? But yeah, that was something really cool and really tangible. Like I could surf at the beach in front of this house. Like I could, decorate my room at this house. It was something physical. And I think it was exciting to know that no matter what happened in my career, like I've got this. So that was like a really big deal. And it got me really into real estate.
You can't live inside of a medal, but you can live inside of this
you
house.
can hang the medal in the house. Yeah, exactly. So
that's also an incredibly practical purchase. What about the most ridiculous or like silly thing?
I think the most ridiculous was pretty much the same time was buying the Lamborghini. The story's got a little more, there's layers to it. So I remember going to the dealership and I brought my skateboard. She was like, can you pop the hood? And I put my board just fit in the hood of the car. And I was like, I'll take it. So,
you're like, this is the only thing I'll ever need to transport.
That's all I need. Yeah, I can put the backpack here and I put the skateboard in and so, really fast, really cool car. Did not need it, just had to have it. I totaled it probably 3 months later.
No.
And so I bought another one. As you do, as like a 19-year-old, I got myself
car dealership loves to see you coming. They love
me. They gave me the whole spiel. There's only 150 of these in the marketplace. I was like, 149, but
yeah. In those early days, how much of your income was coming from those sponsorships versus competition winnings? And then you're starting to win some really, really big medals, like gold medals.
Yeah.
Then how does the pie chart change?
I think it was probably maybe only 10%. 15% was coming from contest winnings.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something I'm really trying to now in my later years change in the sport to bring up the prize money to match, other massive sporting events.
Yeah.
But a major competition, I'd maybe win $10,000. Bigger events, maybe 20, 25. The biggest would be like, there was this event in Japan that would pay $50,000 in a car. But yeah, so most of the money I made was endorsement deals, within the industry. And then there was things outside of that industry. So I had a big deal with like a drink company or PlayStation video game. I started to do some things when I was older where I was like, look, like I'm flying all the way here to do this competition. So I started asking some of my sponsors to match my prize money, which helped things kind of like escalate. And it was performance based. So they're loving it. It was an easy argument to make. Like, hey, if I'm winning, that's where you want me to be, at the top of the podium wearing the gear. So, and I loved it because it gave me like, fuel to go win every time. So I had performance-based things. I remember taking the photo incentive and just was like, give me a buyout. Give me like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I did that, up the travel budget and stuff. And
did you think to put that in your contract, or was that like your parents or maybe like a manager or somebody?
It was a mix. Yeah. So at the time, I think I was probably one of the first, action sports stars at the time to get an agent outside of the action sports world. Yeah. So I was rep by a group called IMG, huge sports management. And, my agent said no the very first time. But, I'm a kid at this point. My agent now tells me, he's like, the first meeting we ever had, I realized how young you were because we were at lunch and he wanted to have like a one-on-one meeting with me. And I ordered a milk. I was like,
no,
I'll have a milk. Yeah. But I was very involved. I remember being closely involved because, snowboarding is a sport where you can easily be uncool. And it's not, people weren't used to people trying hard or having an agent or taking it seriously. And I feel like I was kind of one of the first people on the scene to do that.
Can you explain that like cool factor and like the financial piece? Like, why wouldn't you want to have an agent and make money doing what you love?
I don't know. It's very bizarre. It's a very niche thing to the sport. Kind of like in the music industry. It's like, don't sell out. Like, what are you going to go pop? You're going to make a jingle for everyone to sing along top and 40. Clap to? But whoever's sitting at the top of top 40 is like, oh, not too bad up here.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I had a legitimate agent and we were doing legitimate deals and he saw my worth. So I was like, growing at the same time as the sport was growing. Like I said, when I was a kid, no one really cared about snowboarding. But by the time people started to care and it caught on, like I was at the very tip of the spear. And so I became the face of the sport for many, many years. Yeah, it's a strange place to be, especially when people thought this was like throwing my life away. And all of a sudden, making incredible living and doing all these things and competing at the Olympics. But yeah, for a long time and still in some places in the sport, it was just very uncool to make money or try hard or have an agent or, these things. Strange though, right?
So weird. Because in every other sport, it's like, oh yeah, basketball, shoe deal, like football, like
I got my prized athlete. Let's get him paid. Let's put him out there. Let's build a franchise around him and let's do it. We got our player, and it just isn't like that really in the sport.
When you were at the height of your career, what did you like most? Did you like training? Did you like competing? Did you like the fame and the perks it brought you? What was it?
Yeah. All of it.
All of it.
Come on.
I know.
I think the thing that made me most proud was the fact that like at one point, like I was begging to be sponsored and I was sleeping in a van at the mountain and now I'm like a part owner of that same ski resort. I'm now, launching a product that's sold internationally that's doing these kind of numbers, like as that dream from a kid and now to reality and being asked to be on like talk shows on Letterman and Leno, coming out in my suit and like, play the clip. Let's talk. Like, it was just so cool. It just was like, these things I had watched, professional athletes and stars do my whole life. And now it was like me doing it. Just that feeling of like, I made it, and being recognized as like a true athlete.
Winning at life.
Huge. Yeah. Like you sit on the plane next to somebody and I'm like, I've got this many X Games gold medals. And they're like, well, that's neato. Cool. I was like, I got 2 Olympic gold medals. And they're like, oh my God. My kids must know, it just hits different and people understand it in the masses. So, being Olympic gold medalist, like really just changed so much in my life and carried this weight.
Which of your 3 gold Olympic medals are you most proud of?
Ooh. If I really had to say it, it would be the 3rd, just because it was so hard to get. On my way to that Olympics, I had this horrible accident where I like ripped my face open, 62 stitches, pulmonary contusions, like I'm bleeding in my lungs. I'm just coughing up all this blood. And it went from like the best, I'm doing it Disney movie to just, and I'm considering retiring or quitting. It was just like, what do I do now? And I was really put to the test. And I like got through all of that to get to that next Olympics. I'm the last rider to go and I did it. And I did the trick that put me in the hospital to win it. So it was like this, really big moment, an emotional moment. And so if you watch the footage, which I do sometimes, I've never watched any of my performances, but that one's so special. And I was so emotional after, and I've never been that emotional. It wasn't a physical thing to get back on top. It was an emotional kind of
rebirth
journey that, exactly. You had to level up emotionally, and which is a lot harder. It's nice to just go to the gym and do more reps. I would have preferred, but to like really fall back in love and want something so badly that you're willing to go through a horrific injury, come back and still want it even more than before. I really hang my hat on that Olympics in 2018.
62 stitches, pulmonary contusions.
Yeah.
That's really scary. Was there ever a moment where you were scared to get back on the board or feared the loss of sponsors or your career?
There's dangers to anything. I think driving to the mountain or around the city is probably the most dangerous thing we do, but we do it every day. But we wear our seatbelt, we use our blanket, we check the mirrors, you do what you can. I wear a helmet. I've been doing this my whole career. Like I know when I should and shouldn't do certain tricks or my level. I don't want to step too high above my threshold of my abilities until I level up. And I don't know, I think after the crash, I just realized that I was getting like put in check. I was being tested. I was being like put in this position of like, okay, well, how badly do you really want this? Because you've been telling yourself this whole time, like, yeah, I really want to win the Olympics. That'd be amazing. I think I can do it. And now it's like, well, how bad? Because do you really need it? Do you need it? Because at this point, like stepping back out of the snow means I'm willing in some percentage to let this happen to myself again or worse. And, it's the risk you take and pushing, the boundaries of a sport, doing tricks that have never been done before, these things, it's not your casual day on the mountain, like I'm stepping into harm's way here and there. But yeah, I just kind of like took all those factors in and then really like listened to myself. And I kind of decided like, yeah, I want this. I need this. Like, I'm not going to have gone through all of this for nothing. I made a simple mistake. I'll never do that again. I made this pact with myself. And then I moved on with like a new sort of like vigor. I had a new, fire lit. I don't know. I would have loved to have had a life lesson in a different capacity, but hey, it's not always how it shakes out,
You've mentioned in the past that aside from just being uncool,
Yeah.
you have turned down 7-figure paydays because you wanted to keep the integrity of snowboarding alive. Was that easy to do? Did you have a bunch of money coming in other places that you could do that? Or, did that take a lot?
It did take a lot, especially being the kid from the van. I'm like, am I really going to say no to this right now? I mean, it's so much money. Maybe we can just kind of sweep it under the rug. Nobody, don't look at these billboards. But yeah, saying no at times to massive deals was really, really difficult, especially, you don't know how long this will last. And I remember hearing my fellow riders at the time complaining about their deals. And I was very young. I was listening in and they're like, gosh, I signed the deal. I got injured, making my way back from the injury. Now I'm trying to catch up with all the other competitors and I got to perform this year or I'm not going to get signed or I've got 1 year to figure it out before it's all over. And so after my first Olympic win, I was 19. I remember going to my agent. I was just like, hey, look, give me the most money you can for the next 10 years and let's just let's get a retirement plan. And I picked, one of the most amazing brands in the sport and was just like, I don't want to go anywhere else. I'm your guy. Let's do this together. But I want reassurance that I'm going to be taken care of. And I kept winning, so I could have probably renegotiated. But again, it gave me that, all right, well, no matter what, I've got the retirement plan here. Now I can be a little bit more playful with everything else. So that's kind of how I felt okay turning down deals like that or taking a chance on my own line of clothing or my own, a brand or something like that. So it really kind of let me, I think, make more in the end by being more adventurous with things. Some things didn't work out, but some things really did.
You and your fiance, Nina, did you talk to her about your retirement from the sport before you guys really started to build that life together? Or was that something that you just chose on your own?
I think it really happened in my pursuit of that next Olympics, in China 2022. I don't know, just something felt like this is the right time and place. And I was just so thankful that she was there in my corner to be like a sounding board for this, to help me kind of understand it and see a different side of life that's not just competition. Can I get this sponsor? Can I renegotiate for more? Can I do this? How do I, everything's been that for so long and it's nice to take a step back and spend time with just family, friends, loved ones, and really, so she was super helpful for that. And it's been fun being fiancéed, so to say. Is that how you say it? I'm getting some nods. Yeah. I've been fiancéed.
What was your dream retirement plan?
I mean, I was pretty happy with just skateboarding and snowboarding. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I got my house, I got a nice car. I'm like, okay, this is cool. When you start looking over the fence, there's always, somebody's got more. It takes a lot to realize that, you're good with what you had before you even got to this place. And to get to this place was a dream. And now I'm here dreaming of this. Yeah, I'm not perfect. I do it all the time. It's just the human nature to be like, well, this would be nice. We are on a show talking about money. So
that's right. That's right.
Everyone listening gets it, But I think my dream was just to be comfortable and take care of my family. That was really the biggest goal I had in mind. And so whenever I talk about winning the Olympics, I'm like, we won the gold medal. We did, because it was a family unit. My parents driving me to the mountains, sister calling in sick for whatever, everybody making this happen so that I could get to this place and win. And we did.
Van, crew, and company.
Yeah, exactly. But it is really strange to tell a 19-year-old you did it. It doesn't I was like, okay, well, I'm 19.
Yeah.
You did it. You got the money. You won the gold. You got all this. Well, okay, well, now what? You know what I mean? And you kind of get caught up in this, well, do it again. Let's do it again. So I did it again. And you get there and you're like, do it again. Okay. So, you really start at a certain point going, okay, well, this is a weird repeating cycle that is inevitably going to break down. I got to find other things in life that take my attention, that I find joy in. And so I think through retirement, I've had a really nice cushion into it because I did so much outside of the sport.
I'm loving this discussion, so hold that thought. while I take a quick moment for another money lesson. Have you ever been upgraded to first class and suddenly you're enjoying all these perks you didn't even know existed? Well, SoFi Plus is basically like first class for your finances. You unlock $1,000 plus in annual value with benefits across banking, borrowing, investing, and spending that make your money feel upgraded. Like the highest APY on SoFi Bank savings, aka extra legroom for your money to stretch out. Plus, a 1% match on recurring SoFi Invest deposits paid in rewards points. It's like that bonus glass of champagne, but for your portfolio. Plus, unlimited sessions with SoFi Wealth Financial Planners. Because first class always comes with VIP service. And I know what you're thinking. First class ain't cheap, but SoFi Plus is only $10 a month or at no cost with direct deposit because a first class financial experience shouldn't come with a first class price tag. Upgrade to SoFi Plus today at SoFi.com/plus. It's very clear to me that you are all in on the future of snowboarding. Mm-hmm. Where do you think it's headed in the next 10, 20, 30 years?
It's just on this amazing trajectory. I've invested a lot of my own time and money and effort into creating what that's going to look like for the future. I've created this event called the Snow League. Multiple reasons for doing this, but...
Show us the shirt.
Oh my goodness. Hey, this is one of our Snow League hoodies. Gotta rep the merch.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I'm so proud of it though. I'm like, I don't know. It was a dream, something I wanted when I was competing, you know, because you basically take a season within the sport and it's all over the map. There's these events that you get points to qualify for the Olympics, but the most pay you're going to get is at this event in Japan that has no points, nothing to do with anything. The most televised event, you know, that takes place during the season. But that one doesn't, you know, play well or give you points or anything with any of the other events. So you're really kind of just running around trying to string your season together. And it's just a shame because any traditional sport, you can lock in and go, gosh, my team is doing so well this season. Like it's really hard to follow within skiing and snowboarding of like what's going on and really how this athlete has, you know, done previous seasons to this season. There's none of that that's going on. You just kind of like at sporadic events. And so I realized like we need a united sort of tour. And so that was really the idea for the Snow League. And so I'm creating this thing where we're taking the best athletes in the world and bringing them to the best facilities and resorts in the world so they can have their best performance. And then we've now introduced the highest prize purse within the sport history, equal pay for men and women. There's a lot of things that we're doing that other events aren't doing. And so we had our inaugural kickoff event in Aspen and it went so well. I was so thrilled. I think my favorite part about it was how hyped the athletes were. They came up to me and they're like, just at check-in, I felt like so special compared to any other event I've been in. I was getting texts like already 100 times better. It felt like they felt ownership in what we're building together. And it's been really exciting.
Yeah. The Snow League sounds incredible. It's like, what can humans accomplish if every condition is perfect?
Of course, yeah. And you get these amazing performances. And again, it works on like a business level too. To give an example, the sport of golf has about 60 million, 65 million participants. Winter sports has 130 million participants that go to the resorts, that buy the gear, that stay at the lodge. It's a huge number of people. And so you're seeing that sponsors are really excited to tap into that market. We have amazing sponsors for the first ever Snow League, and we continue to negotiate with some new people to come in and really kick off the rest of the season.
Quick fire.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice you would give to aspiring young snowboarders, financial, career, whatever, that you think will make the biggest difference?
Wear your helmet is what I always say. And then, learn as much as you can. Learn about your finances. Don't pass it off to somebody to do it. You should really be involved.
Shaun, thank you so much for this adrenaline-filled interview. I am obsessed with all of your stories and all of the lessons we've learned today. And I know all of the viewers at home have loved it just as much as I did.
Thank you so much for having me. Really, this was fun.
Thanks for watching this episode of Richer Lives. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to see the latest episodes. And I'll see you next time.
We are on a show talking about money.
No, I don't want the money.
What?
Oh, you got to earn it.
I won.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
Seems pretty cool now, right?
I'll take it.